less government for individual liberty, get the government off our backs, a more sensible foreign policy.
I'm very disappointed that so far in this Congress we have not yet seen any sincere effort to cut any spending. There's something wrong here that could and should be adjusted with decreased spending, not raising taxes, and not further robbing the Social Security Trust Fund.
The more we threat, the more we intimidate, the more we want to bomb people, the more we're leading into another fiasco like Vietnam. We trade with Vietnam now. That's a much better way than trying to impose our will in Vietnam by going over there and dropping bombs. So I would say that this just points out again that we have a very, very poor foreign policy in the Middle East.
I wish the Congress would address the unconstitutionality of presidents waging war. That, to me, is a lot more serious than Monica Lewinsky, let me tell you.
The corporations are in bed with the government.
Peace and harmony can never be achieved by bombs and intimidation.
That right there, of course, is the OG Ron Paul himself that just yesterday celebrated another birthday. We wish him many more. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudetsky here of WeAreChange.org. And man, oh man, do we have some absolutely crazy news to get into today. As, of course, things have increased very severely geopolitically. Lots of tumultuous news coming out of Europe. What will this mean? How will it affect everyone? Well, we're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, in a foreign policy-centered video, along, of course, with the latest updates happening here domestically inside of the United States. So much to get into that we're just going to jump right into it, as, of course, it's important to note here that Ron Paul has been saying a lot of very important, controversial things for many decades now, and he was ridiculed, he was laughed at, and in some instances, he was even censored. But one thing that you can't say against the man was that rarely ever was he wrong when it came to his warnings about what has happened, what is happening, and what will happen. This as, of course, the censorship that he has faced, many others are facing right now on a more extreme level. As, of course, previously we had censorship on television programmings, in many instances even denying the existence of Ron Paul. And now we have big tech social media censorship, where, of course, political commentary and speech is fact-checked into oblivion. This has kind of reached a crescendo within the last few hours, as, of course, libs of TikTok, Steven Crowder, and another controversial figure, Andrew Tate, had, of course, their speech eliminated from big tech social media platforms, the speech highways of the world that now are denying them the ability to express themselves. And whether you agree with some of these individuals or don't agree with these individuals, I don't care. Free speech should always be protected no matter what. As, of course, historically, when we start limiting the ideas that could be expressed, we deal with some of the worst atrocities on the face of the earth. And as we recently learned from former New York Times reporter Alex Berenson, that it was specifically the White House that was involved in the banning of his online social media account, as recently found out through court proceedings, which of course will continue, as today we're also finding out that Alex Berenson will be planning on suing the White House for what essentially was the elimination of his speech from the public discourse, because the White House was too insecure and didn't like anyone holding them accountable. Disgusting behavior by, of course, central top-down controllers that should be absolutely called out. But when it comes to these latest actions, it looks like Andrew Tate is becoming more of the central focus of this entire discussion, which has sparked a lot of debate. Now, personally, I don't know this man. I haven't watched many of his videos. I heard a lot of negative rumors about him. At first, I kind of thought he was some kind of Islamist preacher out there, and I think it's fair to speculate for him to be censored, for Steven Crowder, libs of TikTok, to be censored, and not radical Islamists or other groups that espouse and call for violence against others. For those people not to be censored, clearly to me highlights that there's a bigger agenda to these censorship efforts that are a lot scarier than the words of individuals like Andrew Tate. Now, with this censorship, with this squeegee cleaning of political opinions, dissent, and controversial topics, what are we left with? She-Hulk. And if I have to watch She-Hulk and be inundated by just absolutely nefarious brainwashing propaganda and bullcrap, I will literally rip the eyeballs from my human skull, because it is absolutely unbearable to be lectured by these crazy, insane individuals. And with the way that censorship is going, this is what we're only going to be left with. And as we're finding out from the current events unfolding at CNN with the firing of many of their most prominent broadcasters, that of course people don't like to be lectured to. propaganda, being a shill, doesn't pay. As we're also learning from alleged sources that many of the biggest names on CNN are next on the chopping block, including Jake Tapper, Jim Acosta, and many others have their end in sight, as of course the alleged news network is losing a ton of money, as of course no one wants to watch their propaganda. In related propaganda news, the CDC just came out and issued another warning, with the corporate media regurgitating their talking points, now warning about a polio crisis soon affecting the United States. And just when you thought the fear-mongering and the sensationalism couldn't get any worse by the establishment, here we are today from an establishment government bureaucratic agency that, of course, is best known on spraying DDT on everyone a couple decades ago. But I better be careful. I'm criticizing the establishment as I'm walking the fine line online when it comes to speech, which is why I created the bestpoliticalshirts.com, as, of course, it allows individuals to express their speech in a way that cannot be censored on big tech social media. One of the best ways to do activism, get the word out, start conversations, get people to critically think is very easily to wear a shirt. Today I decided to wear my Ron Paul If I Told You So Was a Person shirt, which of course you could exclusively get on the bestpoliticalshirts.com just by clicking the link down in the description below. We got a lot of very interesting conversation starters. You bet your bottom dollar you're at least going to get some compliments, a high five, maybe a nasty look, definitely a snide-eyed look from some kind of yuppie with blue armpit hair. But whatever it is, at least you're doing your part in helping start important political discussions that, in many instances, bridge the gap between the left and the right and the larger divide and conquer that, of course, is plaguing American politics. Break that wall down, break the political paradigms, and start getting politically activated and involved in one of the most easiest, simplest ways. Wear a shirt, find some friends, start talking to each other, build some great relationships, and create a life that is ungovernable and worth living. By the way, we also have shirts available for members exclusively on the bestpoliticalshirts.com at a reduced discount. It's also important to note here that a lot of our merchandise soon will be getting retired and will only be available for members of LukeUncensored.com. We have a lot of shirts. There's too many to pick from, and we're going to be moving towards a more limited model of t-shirt releases that will only be available for a few days. They will become more limited items, unless, of course, you're a member of LukeUncensored.com. Already there, we have exclusive designs that you can't get here on the main store, and that's just one of the perks here. But again, if you're bored, hey, just scrolling to some of these designs will be absolutely hilarious for most individuals. The link down in the description below, thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Click on it right now to see the plethora of very fun political expressions that we have available for you. And of course, shouts out to Ethan Suppley for even getting the shirt himself. Now, of course, late last night, there was an incident that garnered a lot of political discussion, as of course, we got alleged news reports and videos showing what many people are now calling an alleged assassination attempt on a very prominent Russian figure, Alexander Dugin. This as a car bomb was placed in his daughter's vehicle and then later exploded on the road. An attack that killed his daughter, Daria, that was following in her father's footsteps, especially as a political commentator, as a philosopher, who were known for their statist nationalistic policies that they were calling for. Now, very quickly, footage of Dugin at the car crash, watching a car on fire with his daughter in it, started to go viral all over the internet. As of course, we also heard rumors online that Alexander was supposed to be in that car. He clearly looks in shock in this video. Now, automatically, my knee-jerk reaction to all of this was, of course, to think about Franz Duke Ferdinand, who, of course, was the presumptive heir to the throne of the Austria-Hungary Empire, whose, of course, assassination literally led to the spark and spread of an entire world war. One global conflict preceded by the next, and to be honest, it's difficult not to make these comparisons, especially with the escalations of such events like this. As of course, Alexander Dugin is known as essentially the Ukrainian war mastermind. He has been compared many times as someone that is, quote, Putin's brain, and him and his family, including his daughter that was just assassinated, were very involved in Russian politics, to say the least. Now, who's responsible for this attack against the Dugin? Some people say the CIA. Some people, of course, are obviously pointing to sabotage internally from within from Russia. A lot of people pointing the fingers at Ukraine. Some people even speculating that it could have been Putin himself, as of course political assassinations are common in Russia. But as of right now, now, I think it's fair to speculate that it probably most likely was a Ukrainian sabotage attack, as of course Dugin and his daughter were big proponents of the war there, and there are a lot of Ukrainian sabotage efforts happening inside of Russia. And whether it's against ammunition, military equipment, food, major factories, infrastructure, there have been a series of attacks happening all throughout Russia that has absolutely been sabotaging their war effort. And it does look like a lot of these sabotage attacks, especially on the railroads, do have an effect on the conflict in Ukraine right now that as of a couple moments ago looked like it was stagnating. Now, there's actually even some people cheering on this assassination, saying that Daria called people subhuman. There's other people correcting them, saying that the actual quote was meant for war criminals. Regardless of what you think about this incident and where you stand, I think it's clear that this is also a signal of major escalations between the West and the East, as of course the president of Ukraine even warns of a nastier phase of this war when responding to this assassination attempt on Dugin. And geopolitically, I think it's fair to say that with this assassination, that there's going to be, quote, gloves off in this entire encounter between Russia and Ukraine. This is as the Ukrainians are now launching strikes inside of Crimea. According to The Guardian, this is a psychological blow to the Russians. The Russians are bragging about downing Ukrainian drones in their country, and with the conflict winding down within the last few days, I think this is a very important development that is escalating it and signals a very dangerous, precarious situation for everyone involved. Things are getting nastier. Things are going to get a lot crazier. There's still a lot of speculation. There's still a lot of craziness. There's even Dennis Rodman saying that he's going to be going to Russia soon to try to release Brittany Griner. And we'll see what happens. But assassinating the daughter of someone deemed Putin's brain, I think it's fair, is a dangerous escalation when... Personally, I think there should be a lot of de-escalation. I think there should be calls for peace talks. I think there should be incentivized motions and moves made geopolitically, made through foreign policy that could stop this nonsense and stop the utter loss of life on both sides. Politicians sending people to war is absolutely crazy, and living like this is essentially a choice, and a choice that is becoming more dangerous and riskier for everyone involved here. Sorry, Atlas decided to come over here. Things are getting cray-cray, and sadly, they're only going to get crazier from here. That's just my own personal opinion. That's just my perspective. If you thought I was wrong in any way, shape, or form, let me know why down in the comment section below. I always appreciate constructive criticism. I always appreciate being able to see things from a different perspective, and if there's a topic, a part of the larger conversation that we had that you think is missing from what I understand, let me know in the comment section below, and I will truly try to take a genuine look at it from a place that is coming from an open mind. If you agreed with what I said and my assessments and my assertions, share this video with your friends and family members, especially in the light of all this censorship, because one of the few ways that these videos still get out there is by you actively getting engaged, buying a shirt, signing up for LukeUncensored.com, sharing these videos. Just simple things. Double click the URL, send it to a random person. Just by doing that, you keep independent media alive. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you actually doing that every single day. Thank you so much for staying all the way to the end of the videos. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org.